So returning now to the legal fight over Julian Assange's possible extradition to the United States. The Justice Department announced hacking conspiracy charges against the WikiLeaks founder yesterday after he was arrested in London.
Federal prosecutors accuse him of conspiring with former Army intelligence officer Chelsea Manning to steal and publish secret military and diplomatic documents back in 2010. The Justice Department called the hack one of the largest compromises of classified information in the history of the United States. CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid is at the White House with more. So, Paula, if additional charges are filed, do we know what those could be?
We have some idea. Here, what was so interesting is he was just facing one charge of computer intrusion. It had nothing to do with his activities during the 2016 campaign or these larger questions about whether or not he should be charged with espionage. What we know, though, is right now this indictment, as a recovering lawyer, I can tell you, it's a little thin, and they're going to have trouble proving these computer intrusion charges without cooperation from Chelsea Manning. A U.S. official confirms to me he will be charged with additional counts. It's unclear when those will come, but once they do that, they could start to wade into this landmine of questions in the First Amendment and whether or not he should be criminally charged. The reason this initial indictment was so narrow and just this one charge is the prosecutors wanted to blunt any argument that he should be protected under the First Amendment. They didn't want that to delay his extradition.
Right, because if he's being extradited to face a trial and it's believed that it's for political reasons, and you can correct me, then he may not be extradited. He might have a stronger argument. But that makes me wonder, you know, if the U.S. sort of says there's only one charge, he gets extradited, and later on they pile on all these other charges, isn't that sort of maybe, I don't know, using a loophole in the system?
It depends what those charges are. Oftentimes, you see that you have to promise you will not pursue the death penalty. For example, in the El Chapo case, in order to get him from Mexico, they needed to promise they would not pursue the death penalty. So sometimes there are assurances you need to grant a foreign country. I would expect that any additional charges would likely be filed before these extradition proceedings get underway, but there is a desire not to have that dragged out for months and months. The U.S. and the U.K. have a pretty friendly extradition treaty, so I think it's going to be months, not years, before he sees the inside of a U.S. courtroom.
So, Paula, let's talk about this. As you know, the president praised WikiLeaks repeatedly while campaigning in 2016. Let's play a little bit of what he said back then.
WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
What's remarkable about that moment is in presidencies past, if the president had said something like that, like he loves something, and then you asked him about it a couple of months later and he said he knew nothing about it, you'd start to worry. And I wonder what that moment was like in the Oval Office, Paula, because there's so much. We just played 3 instances of the president saying he loves WikiLeaks, but there are many more.
Yeah.
Where did the love go, right? But when the president was repeatedly praising WikiLeaks on the campaign trail, he wasn't really praising them as an organization. He was just praising them as a platform that was pumping out damaging emails against his rival. And it appeared that Julian Assange, for whatever reason, preferred a Trump presidency. That's why we see all this interaction between his organization and the Trump campaign. The ironic thing, of course, is that it was the Trump administration that's now finally charged him and pulled him out of that embassy. The Obama administration repeatedly stalled their investigations or efforts to charge Assange and WikiLeaks. So I'm sure Assange is also questioning his affection for the president at this moment.
Do we know? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like you were saying, Paula, I think part of the reason why Attorney General Eric Holder did not bring charges against WikiLeaks is because of some of the issues you raised. They knew it was going to be a very thorny battle over the First Amendment.
Exactly, but it was Attorney General Jeff Sessions, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who's the one who really pushed this through early last year. Again, I think this indictment is thin. There's not a lot of evidence. Without the cooperation of Chelsea Manning, you're going to have a really tough time getting a conviction on these charges. We'll see what the additional charges are, but what I also read from this is that Attorney General Sessions was extremely motivated to charge Assange with something to get him here.
So listen, we touched briefly on this. You said that chances of him seeing the inside of a U.S. courtroom through probably months, not years. What's happening now? Tell us a little bit more about the extradition process.
Well, his lawyer says they will fight extradition, and they've already started with their First Amendment argument. They're saying he was a journalist. He was getting information from a source and disseminating information that's in the public interest. But again, federal prosecutors saw this coming a mile away, which is why they've charged him with helping to steal passwords, hack into databases, and then alleged that he was soliciting additional information from a reluctant Manning, trying to paint him as anything but a traditional journalist. It remains to be seen how successful he will be in delaying this extradition process. But the fact that the UK has been so helpful so far, as has Ecuador, finally been helpful to U.S. law enforcement, it is not expected that this will be able to drag out for years and years.
All right, Paula Reid for us at the White House. Paula, thank you.